This is my Meetup Project on how to go fast in software development without really trying. Presented by John Fazaro. So, how I found this meetup was through Seattle Software Crafters, a public group that was known for hosting meetings, bringing in different speakers. I just happened to stumble upon John Fazaro on how to go fast in software. It just sounded really interesting to me on, what do you mean by going fast, right? Like to be efficiently fast in your work or what else. I'm just really curious about this meetup. And you can see here, it's an online event. I joined on Thursday morning on March 23rd, and I just went in the online Zoom meeting and listened to the presenter. So what I know about John Fazaro is that he's been in the software industry for over 20 years. I know he's also been a software architect for 5 years. And he currently works as a public speaker. I don't really know what the software architect does. Apparently, they do they make high level design choices for programs. So, I just thought that was interesting. So, really quick, I just want to mention the hosts of the meeting, the founders of the Seattle Software Crafters. I thought both of them they gave very, very good insights. After John gave their presentation. So starting with Paige Watson, apparently from what I know, he has more than 25 years in the tech industry. And as for Steve Cole in the bottom picture, I don't know really much about him, but he mentioned himself as a developer, coach, mentor, and I think I can. It's safe to assume that he's also been in the tech industry for many years as well, just as much as Paige. So what John talked about in his presentation was really just told many stories. He just told stories about his work, in the computer in the software industry, and these stories that he told, they were very valuable. Each story had a valuable lesson to learn from. And starting with one of the stories, Too Big Fish, it's really about a relationship between John and his coworker Tom. They didn't really like each other. They never really knew each other on a personal basis. And when feedback came around, when John critiqued Tom, Tom took it very politely, and apparently that wasn't the case. And when Thanksgiving break rolled around, Tom expressed anger to John about the critiques, and John looked for advice from his mentor Bert, and John wanted him out of here. That's what advice he was looking for. John wanted Tom to out of the team, or he should be transferred to another team. But Bert gave the advice of, you have an ally. Talk to him. And John did that the following Monday after Thanksgiving break. They have a heart-to-heart conversation, and they really built a strong connection and really just knew each other, even though they had disagreements. And that lesson behind the story was really just simple of don't make enemies. There's no point. Connect with your coworkers, make friends. And one of the next stories, how to go fast. It's about when John was working in a mobile development team. John and his team was about to get kicked off by the company, and Roger, the leader of the team, he was very stressed out by the situation. And one of the tasks that the team was given was to develop a interface for mobile users, Android and iOS. And the team says that will take a month, but Roger needs it in a week. And one of the most important questions, and John things that he asked, one of the stupidest questions, was why. And why Roger was like, because that's what the higher ups asked for. That's what they need. So let's do it. And some back and forth. Very high stress. They eventually they managed a alternative solution. And the alternative solution was really just changing our focus. One team members found out a way to cut our time by 10 days by just focusing on something else, and do that. They were able to work out the task out. They were able to look at different ways to do different things as apart, looking away what the higher ups asked for, and just started doing their own thing, their own way. And eventually, the entire work was done in 2 days. What Roger expected a week, what the team expected in a month, the entire work was done in 2 days, because they were optimal solutions they found. And what that really story tells us, that, as John said, going fast isn't about doing more, it's doing less. And on the final story that he told, John was in a team with another company for a greenfield project, and they were tasked to make a e-commerce website. And it's a really quick story, because the team was working with the website for 8 hours, and as a result of those 8 hours, there were no work done. The website was just a white blank screen. And it's not like they were being lazy. During those 8 hours, they were focused. They was really focused on work. They took no breaks. And as the time progressed during those 8 hours, they were losing their patience. They were losing their mind. They work harder. And the reason why they didn't get any work done was because they were using the wrong version the entire time. They hadn't figured that out until the next morning. So the more of that story is to take a break. They couldn't figure it out why, or they couldn't figure out the problem because they weren't taking a break. It was only until the next morning, after a good rested sleep, they were able to figure out they were on the wrong version the entire time. This correlates to what Kent Big said, as John mentioned, is that software development is a game of insight, and insight comes to the prepared, rested, relaxed mind. What John encouraged us to do in his presentation was to tell a story, and how he told his story was through his own story framework called 5 stages of story. Number 1, we have the needle and thread, which basically was to give enough details for the audience to grasp. And the next one is the change, was to take something in that world, a detail, and change it. And what the struggle is essentially the suffering, someone suffering because of that change. And number 4 comes the pivot, which basically means to look things in a different way. And finally comes the consequence, which basically means to describe the state of the world. And this is the one thing I didn't really expect from this presentation was the emphasis on stories. John really emphasized the importance of stories, because it is used to better to connect with someone, connect with your audience. And he doesn't mean that in a presenter kind of way. He meant that as to tell it to your friends, or your coworkers, or someone, and just to really build that strong connection, essentially. So one of the questions I asked John was, when should I tell a story? And John really explains that just use the best case of your judgment. And typically, when people don't show up as the audience and when you don't show up as a teller, that's a good time to tell your story. He also emphasized that never, when you're telling a story, never say you're telling a story. Thought that was interesting. Never use the S word, the story word. I think I really enjoyed this meeting. It really gave me a lot of valuable lessons from it. From the stories, and really I also didn't expect to learn about the overall concept of stories. How using stories to connect people better. It really just like gives me a better insight into the humanity side of the tech industry. I guess I would say so. The culture. That's something I didn't really expect, but I really enjoyed hearing about it and learning about it. And yeah, I would love to attend another group meeting like this. I think, you know, talking with the people like that's been in the industry for so many years, there's something to learn from. There's something to gain from, some wisdom, you know. And these type of meetings, these type of conversations, they don't come up. I feel like I want to get this type of wisdom or knowledge or lessons if I work in industry. Like, unless I come to these kind of meetings, that's how I will know. That's where I will learn it from. And getting to the part B of the section, we're going to talk about getting engaged in technology. So I joined the IEE club meeting, and it really just felt like it's just a quick update, quick introduction to the club. Talk about their membership. You have to pay a fee to join a membership. They also give like a little discount code. Normally costs $32, but to join the club now, the discount code costs $16, half off. And also talk about their Cal State East Bay branch election results. Quick update about that, and also about the upcoming conference involving artificial intelligence. So one question on Stack Overflow that helped me was it helped me with my Computer Science 2 class, CS 201, and I was looking to figure out why my random integer generator, kept running the same number every time. Like, it ran 2, and every time I run the program, it gets 2 every time, the number 2. And I found this Stack Overflow post. The reason why was that I didn't seed it. Apparently, I didn't use this function, this srand function, and this will help me create a random starting point, which helps generate a new random integer every time, every run. So yeah, this Stack Overflow question really just gave me a concept I was not familiar with. So GitHub is a software development platform. It basically, essentially just manages developers' code files, and it's really convenient to use for coding because you can store your code files, track them, keep it nice and organized. And not only that, it also allows for better collaboration. Developers can start, team projects with other developers and share each other's and write each other's code.